Greetings, humans. I'm currently in Des Moines, Iowa, but I have this phone camera and this microphone. I recently released a new single featuring some sick drums from Nahshon Seville. And today on Exploring Limitations, I'm going to show you how we got this drum sound. Here we go. The majority of this video was filmed before any music was added to the track a long time ago. Over to you, other made-on-tape man. Okay, this is a flashback portion of the program. This song is not a song yet, but we processed Nahshon's drums, and I want to show you what they originally sound like because we erased over the original signal, which is something that you do with tape. I also say we because my good collaborator, musical partner in crime, Collin Stanley, we were just hanging out and casually did this after a couple of soda pops, or as Mickey Redmond would say, after a couple of ginger ales.
If you're lining up for a ginger ale.
I'm just gonna play the original drum track. It's starting from the middle somewhere, just so you can hear it. Here it is. Nice. Before he goes further, if you're interested in a more detailed breakdown of how we tracked drums that day, watch this video. Put it in a new tab, obviously. Keep watching the current video now. Here's a quick clip from that video to give you context. Okay, there I am recording the drums on the Portastudio, and there's the Yamaha mixer, the Yamaha EM100. I can see Nahshon, and I can see the M201 Bayer Dynamic on the snare drum. That's the RE20 on the kick drum. It's definitely my tube mic as the overhead. The fourth microphone is crotch position. That's the Omni dynamic mic that I have. And then all that is going into one channel on the cassette. Okay, back to the past. Nice. Three things. One, Nahshon's drumming is sick. Two, you heard that phaser correctly, and we printed that live. Nahshon performed to this, and it is embedded in the track. You're not hearing an effect being laid on top. But then three, something that's not so great. You could probably hear that kick drum is just a little too loud. I know why it happened because I was mixing live in the room, 4 channels down to 1 track on cassette. And clearly while I was in the room, even with headphones on, I just wasn't feeling the kick enough, and I definitely cranked it. It's a little unbalanced. So that presents an interesting problem in the analog world. How do you make it so your kick drum's not popping out so much? Your first instinct, and our first instinct, Collin and myself, was to add compression. And we messed around with the compressor quite a bit, and it wasn't quite doing what we wanted it to do. We know what crushes and smushes highs. That's right, baby. Distortion. The rat. Heavy distortion. So now let me play you what that track sounds like after we processed it through the distortion. Nasty. I've got the EQ, you can't see it from there, but the EQ up a little bit. Nasty. And oh my goodness, the kick drum is still very prominent. But when you add that distortion, obviously dialed in the distortion, we filtered it, and it's really, for the rat, it's subtly in there. You can totally overblow the rat, and it gets even crazier than that. But the cool thing is, listen to how it brings out the hi-hat pattern. Or not even the hi-hat, he's playing like the rim. It's so sick. Now, that's where the track is at, and future me will begin to add instruments to this, and we'll see where the mix and the piece of music goes. we wanted to process the drums a little bit further, but I'm not going to finish that until mixdown, but maybe I'll just play it for you right now. It sounds cool, right? The distortion. So let's add some bottom end to it. Subharmonic synth, baby. We're going to bypass the compressor and just use some subharmonic synth. There's the naked track. Now I'm going to bring in the subharmonic. Too much? Bypass. It's one of my new favoriteest tools for processing mono drums. It's fun, but don't overdo it. You'll know if you overdid it if you put it in a car stereo and you kind of just blow up your speakers and you have to replace them, like some people we know. And the last thing we'll probably do during the mixdown, which I don't need to do right now, but it's already set up, is give it a little bit of reverb, a little bit of digital reverb, just a little bit of space. So I'm going to add the digital reverb. I think the settings are where we left them, and I'm just going to bring it in. Dial it back. Off. Pretty sick, huh? Anyway, back to you, other Made on Tape man. There you have it. Today's video highlights one of my favorite aspects of the creative process. Sometimes we're presented with a problem. In this case, it was a hyped up kick drum. And the solution to that problem, crushing the heck out of it with a rat pedal, ends up being something beyond what we even originally conceived. This is just the best. This is why practicing the creative act yields new things all the time. The practical solution, crushing the shit out of the drums, yielded very interesting results. Today's musical example is called The Last Word, featuring Nahshon Seville and Collin Stanley on the weird ambient guitar. It's available on all streaming platforms right now. Links to that are below. All of my original music is linked below as well. I'd love to see you as a member of my Patreon page, where I share all kinds of goodies like unedited clips and performances just for patrons. Link to that is below as well. With that, as always, is peace and be good to each other. That's Des Moines, Iowa. Do you like the blown out window behind me?